Hello and welcome to this episode of the CRUZAMENTO Podcast. We are really happy to record another episode in English. And today's show, we'll be talking about the intersection between technology, healthcare, and sustainability. My name is André Correia, and together with me is my friend and co-host, Daniel Guedelha.
Hello, and welcome to another show of the CRUZAMENTO Podcast. Our guest, as you see in there, is Tim Vieira. Hello, Tim, and welcome to this new season of the show.
Hi, Daniel. Hi, Andre. Good to be on this CRUZAMENTO.
Cheers. Tim, our usual first question, and in 30 seconds, is who is Tim Vieira? And you will need to tell us about your garage, please.
Okay, well, at my age, to do it in 30 seconds is going to be a real challenge. So I'll try my best. I'm an optimistic person who loves people, who believes we can make a better world. I believe in not having fear. I believe in being brave and trying to do change. I live on experiences. That's how I learn. I love it over everything else. I love it over books. I love it over degrees. And then, okay, with regards to Tim's garage, maybe instead of, telling you what it is, I'll just quickly show it to you because I'm actually, So this is it. It's like old cars. It's a whole bunch of cars out here.
Oh, wow.
It's my collection. Okay.
Of cars.
Of cars, of arcades, of memorabilia. So it's a lot to do with basically my past, my life, and etc. So yeah, that's Tim's garage.
Cool stuff, Tim. Just for our audience. Tim, for our audience that is just listening to us, so lots of cars, right? Classic cars, and lots of spicy
cars, lots of sports memorabilia. We've had many rugby players, football players.
Wow.
Obviously car fanatics, etc. And then it's just a place where I have friends come over. It's open to the public, but we don't sell anything, so you can come over and have a coffee. And then it's we do startup events here. We do the Kashkash Curry Club, which is a famous thing. So that's it. Yeah, that's really what it is. Yeah.
That is really cool. And for everyone that is listening to us, it's definitely worth to go onto YouTube and check it out, the video itself. Right. Tim, and after this tour, you've been part of a few TV shows, namely the Shark Tank Portugal. How did you get involved in those projects, and what have you learned from them?
Yeah, I think Shark Tank was by mistake. It wasn't something I was looking at doing. I was probably actually trying to help them find someone to go on the Shark Tank, and then in the end, somehow I committed to a season. I only did that one season, but it was a memorable season. I really enjoyed it. It was great because Portugal was going through a real tough time at that time. It's those once in a lifetime crashes. How do we say it? These tough times that we only supposed to see once in a lifetime, but they're happening more often. So. Basically, when I went on the show, it was great to try and get entrepreneurship moving again. So I think when we went on, it had really flatlined entrepreneurship. No one was really very excited. We were all worried about what was happening in the economy, but nobody was looking at entrepreneurship as a way of improving the economy. And I think the show showed a lot of people that, you don't just need to go into try to get money from a bank. You can work with friends, with investors, angel investors, VCs exist. And it really did start changing a mindset, and I think that's what was great about the show. For me personally, it was great because obviously I did get exposure from it. And then I made a lot of friends and I met a lot of really good people, with regards to the projects, that didn't all work, but we did manage to get some of them to scale up a little bit, and they've become businesses for those people. So that's been okay. But overall, it was a great experience, and I really enjoyed it. And it was a good way to get onto the whole ecosystem of startups.
Excellent. And picking on that one, as an entrepreneur and investor based in Portugal, can you talk about the startup and investment ecosystem in this country and how it has evolved from your point of view in the recent years?
Yeah, so I think it's a lot better. I think it's it's definitely one of with regards to, for the startups that want to come out and have a lifestyle, it's definitely in the top 3 in the world. Okay.
Cheers. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You're choosing lifestyle, and if you're coming out here and you want to really bootstrap and not burn your cash, it's still good value. It has become more expensive, but it's still good value. There's also good talent, more difficult to get, obviously, but there's still good talent. What I do think, so I look at it and I think we've come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Come a long way. There's a much better ecosystem around the startups, and I think a lot of things helped. Obviously Portugal's managed to get a few unicorns along the way, but even looking at the unicorns, you see where we fail, and we fail on helping to raise funds. We fail on thinking big,
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at our unicorns, although they Portuguese DNA, they're actually very little Portuguese money DNA.
Yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm.
So it's the way I look at Portugal, I really look at it as a great place to get the concept going, hit the pilots, find some talent, set up a back office. But then you do need to think bigger and go outside if you're looking for the money. The sad thing about it is startups, in the end, if they're starting to scale up, they follow the money. Talent follows the money.
Yeah.
And we see it. We see it go through. It's not, I'm not saying it's totally a negative, because we could be judged by the alumni that we produced. Let's look at it. If I had to put this into an educational timeline, we are like a creche and primary school. So, you start your startup and you come to creche in Portugal. You have a lot of fun. It's really great. But then as you're maturing and you're going into a high school and, anywhere else you want to go, you're going abroad at the moment. That's the truth, and I think we will have some other examples that maybe we'll be able to get funding and stay out here a lot more, et cetera, because it's where everyone wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you've mentioned education. In addition to your work as an entrepreneur and investor, you've also been part of various philanthropic and social initiatives that actually create a positive impact on society. Which causes are the most important to you, and how are you working to make a difference in those areas?
Yeah, definitely the most important for me now is education.
Okay.
And we're not thinking of education only in Portugal. We're thinking of it globally. Because we've become a global world. Okay, and the problem is that education is in a difficult situation worldwide at the moment. There's no utopias in education, and where I've really decided to make a difference is in that age group of teenagers, the 12 to say 19-year-olds. Where there really is a tough place for these youngsters. They don't know what jobs they're going to have, because we don't know what jobs we're going to have. We don't know what they're going to do, because we don't know what we need them to do.
Yeah.
So we sort of look at education nowadays as it's not about what you're going to do, it's about who you're going to be. Okay, and I think that's really bringing it back a step. It's going real old school, where we try to bring values and ethics and start teaching a lot of those soft skills that you're going to need in whatever you do. So, just having a critical thinking mind, which means, think for yourself. We've taken that away from education. We actually get told what to think. So we want people to start thinking for themselves. We want people to start having experiences. So job shadowing. We want people to have real skills, which is another thing that's very important. And you can go study somewhere, or you can get a real certification that you already know will get you a job, etc. So we are trying to break this system of this is how it's expected, this is how your parents expected, this is how society expected, because it's been expected like that for 200 years, but it's changed. The whole world, the way we live, the way we work, the way we travel, it's all changed, and education is happening as well. It's definitely happening in education. So that's where my focus is. We're able to do around 30% of our students on scholarships. We have hubs in Kenya, in Namibia, in Mozambique, South Africa, and a lot of those youngsters we're able to put through our scholarship program, which means those regions will change, because we keep complaining that no one really wants to leave their country unless there's no opportunities. So if we can help them get opportunities, then they're going to be happy. And I think that's what we're trying to do. And that's why, the project's called Brave Generation Academy, because we've been too comfortable for too long, and now we need to be brave. So that's my passion at the moment, totally education focused. Yeah.
And I love that, too comfortable. And when we talk about education, obviously, and you alluded to it, we look forward into the future. And maybe picking here about your experiences. So what do you think are some of the most important trends and innovations in entrepreneurship and investing right now, Tim, in the space, if you know a little bit about health and technology? What do you think are the trends out there?
Yeah, I think, health has become a very broad subject. We used to think of health as someone that was sick, physically sick. Okay. And it's changed. We look at now mental health, emotional health, a whole range of, the health has really changed. And I think where it's going to start going towards is just like we've done with our cars and many other things, is preventative health. I think we've missed out on that. I think for too long we don't, like we've got owner's manuals for when you buy a car, when you buy everything, you get that manual that sometimes you read. But that you have to take your car for a service before it breaks down. And I think that hasn't happened in health before. We haven't been doing preventative health, and we also haven't looked at health as broad as we do now. When we look at mental health and all these kind of different health benefits that we need to start looking at, it's opened up a whole new system. And then also with technology, we actually are able to start looking at providing health and quality health across the board. And actually, technology should help us to bring the price of health down. It hasn't been happening. It's been going up and up and up. I see it the same thing with education. It always goes up. And that's why with Brave, we've tried to bring it down. And I think that's going to start having to happen with health. And I think with a mix of preventative, with technology, I think we can get there where we start having this whole health system that becomes a lot broader and meets a lot more needs than it does at the moment. It's also, we looked at health and it was private or public. We're going to have partnerships. That doesn't work one way or another. We need, infrastructures that the public have got, but we need the skills that the private have got, and to keep doctors happy and to keep healthcare professionals happy. We need that mix. Okay. And again, technology there can help again, because on management, on getting it done, on giving us dashboards that show us where the problems are, where the bottlenecks are, where we need to improve, where we need to invest. It's all there. You look at AI, how amazing it is now. They may be using AI. We can get a doctor's opinion, not from a doctor, but using AI, that can go out to 1 million patients very quickly, and then have a doctor transmitting it through to the patient, so it's more humane. And in certain situations, you don't want to read or have an AI telling you what you've got if it's serious. You still need that person and discussing it, because again, it's emotional, it's mental, and those things we still can't do with AI. But we've got AI to do the things we waste a lot of time on and we don't need to do. So technology, health, it's going to be exciting time.
And then, Tim, you've mentioned AI, you've mentioned investments, and a lot of this comes from private and maybe a lot from startups as well. So how does a successful investor in these areas look like? And what are the key qualities that make someone a successful entrepreneur or investor in those areas, the health and tech, or in the education as well?
I think things have changed. I think we had a lot of money being printed for a long time. So we had a lot of money being printed, and we had money that was put into Bitcoins because we had a lot of money. We can try everything. We've got money that went into NFTs. We've got money that went into property, a huge amount of money. We've got money that has gone into everything. Okay. And one of the things that money went into was startups. Okay. And it was like a race to see who could put money into anything that said blockchain or anything that said this or anything that said that. Going forward, I think we're going to be more selective. I think money is going to be more valuable. Okay. And I think it's going to go a little bit more old school, where we do need to understand the business plan in terms of what are you really solving? Where are your target markets? What are you, where's your end game, etc. So we're going to have it more structured. It's not just going to be let's just get clients, but maybe we'll never make money. I think that's going to happen for investors that are investing, and that's okay, because it is always a cycle of easy, difficult, with interest rates the way they are. People want to still beat interest rates, but they also know that now they can have money in the bank and get an interest rate and be safer than maybe just investing. We had free money in a way. So I think it's going to become a lot more about quality investing, okay? Where we understand where we're investing and why we're investing. And then in management of these companies, it's also going to become more about a vision. It's going to become more about delivery, about hitting milestones and understanding that, you're not going to get the money if you don't hit what you've promised. So it is a different mindset, okay? But I still think there's going to be enough money for enough good projects, okay? I just think it'll be more difficult to get money for mediocre projects, okay? And that's also good because we've got a problem with supply of talent, etc. And the symmetry that's going to happen with a lot of startups going to, dying out, etc. The talent will spread out, and there will be a whole bunch of new people going into some of the companies that were older, established, producing, but now could actually get into scale ups and become quicker, etc. So it's an exciting time because technology, talent, it's all on the move. It's all on the move, So and yet we're still all human, and it's also, it's an interesting time if you're going to invest into health, because for the first time, I think ever, we've had in the US the life expectancy coming down. So we all thought we were all going to start going into 120 years, but the reality is that in the US it's actually come down. So we there's a problem there, okay? We know the healthcare, there's a huge problem. So we need to start solving it. And I think it's going to get solved by startups that will solve certain problems. And bit by bit, we will, chew the problem. It won't be like one magic wand. It does need certain things. We need alternative thinking. We need alternative ways of doing things. We need government to not have a lag on legislation, because the other thing is, we produce more technology every day than any company altogether can use. That's the reality. But now imagine if companies can't keep up to it, imagine government, the lag governments have. The governments are we've got laws of 1940 that we're still living with, where, the internet didn't even exist. We now have a whole new metaverses, and we have a whole new worlds, and yet we've got these stagnant laws, etc. So I think countries that start to adapt, start to change laws, and start making it easier to be an entrepreneur that can change the world, will change their countries. Okay, if you complicate it, if you have more bureaucracy, if you have you're going to kill it. If you have more taxes on startups, and if you have laws, or if you have different positions on what you say into the market and then what you do, people are going to move. People are not going to invest. So I think it is all stakeholders coming on board. We need government on board to be stable, to be quicker, to have less bureaucracy. We need, the talent pool coming through quicker on education. We can't wait 4 years to get a degree. And then you know what? We only need a little bit of that degree to get the job, and the rest we don't even use. Well, then we need to do that little bit and get going and use experience to grow it. We need companies to come on and start training and start telling, people at a younger age what they're going to need, because they can't just keep complaining we don't have talent. We need to link it.
Correct. So that intersect in that link. And Tim, look, I mean, this brings this kind of comes to my mind with what you were just alluding to, Portugal, right? And so let's talk concretely about our country. Do you see Portugal as a country that could potentially be the reference for startups, as you were talking about, in these areas, let's say health and tech? Or what should Portugal do different in order to make it happen?
Yeah, you know what? I would love to say yes. What I would love to say, but honestly, I'm not very confident. Because of what I see. Like I said, we need all stakeholders. We've definitely got the talent there. We've got companies who want to do things. You look at our healthcare in the private and what they've done, etc. We've got lots of leading solutions and solutions that have come here, started here, and gone worldwide, etc., etc. Okay, but we do have a government that at the moment doesn't send out the right signal. We don't send out the right signal. We're too slow. We have no vision. We're not inviting at the moment. We need to change the world. You need talented people from all over the world to be in your place. Okay, and we can't say one thing and say another thing and do another thing. We've got huge tax burden. Like honestly, even if you do want to pay better, you're not paying it to your employee. You sort of pay it to the state. You understand? Do we have all the opportunities to turn it around? I think yes. We've got a small country. We've got a united country. We've got. We could easily become a leader in the world. Easily, because we've had so many of those examples where we become really good at something because we've made a plan, we've got a vision, and we've done it, and we've executed it, and all of a sudden it's working. So we've got successes that we've hit, but at the moment I don't see enough vision. I don't see enough urgency. It's been 27 months since there's been Portugal 2020 to Portugal 2030. So any company who's been waiting to get that kickstart and to get going has been burning their own cash. It's been dying. Basically, in a company, if you're burning cash, if you haven't started investing to grow, you're dying. All right. So we've got a lot of companies that have been dying, a lot of talent leaving. We had 62,000 people leave last year. How do we justify that? We're not having babies, so we're not going to grow by having more babies. And even if we do, they're going to take 20 years to count. So we're losing people. We're not growing organically. We're super scared of immigration. But it's like the one solution that's only open is how we're going to get immigrants that first of all, yes, have our values, and secondly, can offer the needs we have in terms of workforce, etc., etc. So there's a few things we need to tick. We need to tick them, but I don't see us discussing this to the future. I see us complaining about the past. I see us pointing fingers. I see countless scandals, countless wastes of time, basically, that we're doing. The only great thing, that this week happened in Portugal is Benfica won and Sporting didn't lose. Because other than that, it's been again ups and downs with TAPs, ups and downs with government, it's not stable.
And within that context, you've also mentioned the ecosystem and the different stakeholders. If you want to look a little bit more into the business angels, what is your thoughts about business angels? Do we need more in Portugal? Would it help improve the current scenario? And if some of our listeners would like to invest in startups, where should they start with?
Yeah, look, I think, business angels alone can't do it. We don't have enough incentives. We don't have the volume of people. We don't have enough success rates and capital to come in using business angels. I think we need to, like I said, business angels do their part and they're going to do that 1%, but we need like a bigger stakeholder to come in. And the biggest stakeholder, the best stakeholder, is actually to give incentives to companies that already have some kind of volume, are big, to come in and start investing into smaller companies. Okay, because if they get a tax break by investing into startups, and instead of paying tax, they can put it into a startup. That startup has got a chance to grow, employ more people, pay taxes themselves, and we start to grow an economy. Okay. And I think that's where we've got to start looking at. We've got to start looking at our companies, our big companies. They're really well run. Okay. They're solid. They're there. But they're very bad at research. They're bad at innovation because, we're in a comfortable, quite protected country where they don't need to do much of that. All right. And sometimes they don't look at it as investment. They look at it as expense, innovation and research, etc. So the best way that we could cover that is by them investing in startups that could be coming up with innovations and doing that research for them to grow as well, and partnering up and having the interest saying, look, we are a 5% shareholder or 2% shareholder. If they grow and they can go globally, we are going globally. We are growing. And obviously, a lot of these companies already have channels and systems that they could actually help kickstart a lot of the startups. So I think, again, it's going to be startups. It's got to be a whole stakeholder issue here. All right. And I think, again, instead of us just taxing more, we should actually let people invest more, because that's how we grow economies. We need to copy paste a few things from successful ones, and we will go towards that as well. With regards to business angels, business angels, the best thing I normally see they can do is give network, give mentorship, etc. Because many times on the pure investment side of it, they almost want to sometimes invest when the company is almost already at break even. It's a weird thing. You know what I'm saying? They want to invest, but they're also not sure, etc. And as I said, there's going to be a huge symmetry of startups, because they're just not going to get the bigger investment. So I think at the moment, I think angel investors and things like that are going to find it more difficult, because now they can put money into certain investments that will start to give interest rates, etc. So, it's not as easy. We also, I think our whole network of business angels, it's been each one pulling a little bit for himself. Okay. Maybe that will unite now, because, there's a common problem, which is lack of easy money and interest rates, etc. So that could maybe work. But I think, again, copy paste what's happened. There's business angels are a lot more mature in the US, so maybe that kind of stuff. I think business angels, what they should really be working on is helping their companies expand, across borders. I think that's a big thing. I often call it the Bacalhau Bridge. We need Bacalhau Bridge.
Bacalhau Bridge.
USA, we need Bacalhau Bridge to the Africa, South Americas, because that's what we're good at doing, Portuguese. We really are good at that,
Yeah.
But we need business angels that have someone here and someone in Chicago, and, the idea goes and we can work it. And I think it's going to be less investments, but more time in those investments. I think that's the way it's going to go.
We hear you, Tim. That's lovely. And with the bridge, again, we look into the future. And in this third season, Tim, we talk about technology, healthcare, and sustainability. Looking at the intersect of those three, what do you think we are doing today that will have a positive impact in 10 years' time? And how is the Brave Generation Academy part of that potential vision?
Yeah, I think our young people are naturally going to make the world a better place. It's weird to say, but when you speak to a young person nowadays, they're much more into a sharing economy. They're not actually thinking of driving their own car. they're willing to live in a smaller place. They're starting to work remotely, which means they can go live in a different place. You know, for me, the hope is the way we're going to live is we're going to consume less. Okay. I look at Europe, we are consuming less and less. I think we are starting to look at, you know, we just looked at, we had an energy problem, and look, everyone like cut energy, and there was a real big saving, you know. I think the US is still really bad at that. I think, you know, when you go to the US and you look at the size of a house, when you look at the size of a car, when you look at the amount of food that is thrown away, okay, it's incredible. You know, you really look at it and you say, how can we be telling others to save the world when we are not doing it, you know? So I think the first, let's call it this developed world, is going to have to look after, going to first look at how it consumes, how it lives, before we're going to be an example to anyone else, you know, because us telling India and China that they need to do less, but when we look at it, we are consuming 6 times more than the average Indian or Chinese. You know, how can we say that? You know, so we do obviously, you know, they're still developing, and they want to eat steak every day. You know what I'm saying? So the way we're going to live is going to be, I think, very, very important to the way we can demand anything from this world. The scary thing, okay, is that old people in power are breaking us up. Okay, the world is not that global now. We're all going to start producing for ourselves. So we're no longer going to produce the most efficient way. We're going to produce for ourselves. That means a lot more doing the same thing and not efficiency. Because if you look at it, the world's breaking up. We've got issues all over the place, and it's come through. If you look at it, political decisions. It's been political decisions in most places. Okay. And we've got problems in the Middle East now with Israel. We've got problems, you know, central, obviously the Ukraine and Russia and etc. And instead of speaking about peace, we're speaking about more armament. We've got the issues with China and Thailand. We've got issues with North Korea. There's enough places for things to go wrong. And, you know, the averages is that somewhere it will really go wrong. You know, so, and if we look at it, we've got old people making decisions for young people. We've got old people putting young people in war. We've got old people, you know, making decisions on all these young people's lives, etc., etc. And we've got young people trying to make the world sustainable. Okay, so it's like an unbalanced thing. You know, you're working so hard to throw plastic in the right dustbin, and then, you know, we've got a nuclear threat. So it's just not bad. Okay, and I think we're going to have to become a sustainable world. We need more young people to get into power. We need more young people to have a voice. All right. And I'm not talking about just voices on global warming and this and that. We need people that will get into places that can make decisions. Okay. Because at the moment, I think that is our biggest lack of anything in the world, is we've got no young people making real decisions for the future, and they're going to live in it. Yeah.
And that all starts with education, and programs like the Brave Generation Academy is so important to contribute to educate that younger generation that will become the leadership of the future, right? In just a couple of years' time, because even 20 years go really fast. Tim, thank you very much for your time and availability. It was a really nice conversation. Today we've been here with Tim Vieira, who firstly showed us his garage, which is amazing. And we've also talked about a few TV shows like Shark Tank, Portugal. We've discussed what are the trends in the health and tech space, and also how can our country, Portugal, do different to become to be in a leading position on the startup ecosystem. Tim, this is really the last question. In case our audience would like to know more about you or follow your activity, where can they find you online?
Yeah, so I've got LinkedIn, so I think that's a great way to connect. I think that's the best connection I've got, and from there I'm quite good at responding and getting back, etc. So LinkedIn, Tim Vieira. You'll find it.
We confirm that. Yes, you are fast responding. No, excellent, Tim. Thank you so much. And to our listeners, you can find all this information and more in these show notes. You can also find us on our website, podcast, apps, and social network such as LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. You also invite you to subscribe our newsletter. Bye for now, and we hope to see you very soon in another episode of CRUZAMENTO Podcast.
See you soon.
Be brave.
Be brave. Cheers. Bye-bye.